All right, folks, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the Max Afterburner, powered by the No Fallen Heroes project entity Echoverse, man. We are doing, I am with my brother Slider again, man. He is just the guest that won't leave. But
a lot of people say that.
Exactly. No, but actually this time we don't want you to leave, man, because this is just Slider and I talked beforehand, man. The phone calls, the texts, the emails, Slider's kicking over some rocks and allowing people to start scratching their heads and, hey, man, if this guy can, maybe I can too. So this is awesome, bro. I appreciate all this. So we're actually I'm not telling you how many Slider episodes there's going to be because I don't know, because everything that Slider's talking about has to be voiced. So we're going to get into Slider's going to clean up right after the Eagle has landed. Great movie, by the way. And we're going to stick with his ibogaine journey, because if you're not familiar, Slider and I both have experienced ibogaine twice with completely different but equally as incredible outcomes. I know you're not supposed to be tied or grade or compare, but he and I are we're going to get into this here because we have to talk about it. So my brother, welcome back, Slider. How you doing today?
It's great to be here, Whiz. Thanks for the intro there. I'm not sure I deserve all that, but yeah, doing great, man. Beautiful sunny day here in Virginia Beach.
I love it.
And yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
So just you got to listen to part one, obviously, to kind of set up why Slider's sitting here today, man. So make sure you watch or listen to episode 1, episode 2. Holy crap, man. I was hanging on every word because I hadn't received the full brief. And I appreciate you for doing that. So after you get done with Slider part 2, here's the Trois. We're at the Trois right now with Slider, the Eagle, after zorching downhill, my buddy, our mutual brother Sledge, Slider being an Eagle guy, just, it doesn't even, that can't even come out of my mouth. I need to wash my mouth out with soap. So, all right. So Slider, the Eagle has landed. So what else? We're in ibogaine 1. The Eagle has landed. Go.
Okay. Yeah. Back to ibogaine 1. All right. So, I gave you a couple big pieces of the story there, and they were the more colorful, spectacular, psychedelic movie worthy parts of my journey. But there's a couple other things I thought of afterward that I left out. So I just want to share those real quick.
Yep.
One of them was, I talked about how you have those eye shades on during the ibogaine experience, and that you very much have a sense that you're seeing right through them, right? You've seen that, and all the other guys we've talked to, that everyone sees that. That's a strange phenomenon, and like I said, by nature, I got to take everything apart to see what's going on inside. So, pretty far along in the journey, the mad scientist in me came out, and I went, I was picking my blinds up, and the physical world's still here, and I was putting my blinds down, and I was going back to this other place, and it was very easy to go back and forth. And I started questioning, what is this that I'm seeing? Is this completely a fabrication that's inside my skull, or am I somehow tuned into something else?
Wow. Yeah.
And the old me would have said, well, obviously it's just a hallucination, but I think we're coming to understand that everything might be a hallucination.
Yes.
We got a lot to talk about with, but
yes.
In the medicine, I said, well, let's do a test. So for whatever reason, I was the weirdo who got up and went to the bathroom like 6 times.
Dude, I could not even. One of the biggest decisions I ever made in my existence on this planet was rolling on my side. It took all the strength of mankind for me to even roll over, and you're getting up 6 times to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Wow.
We talked about the first journey was so different than the second journey. I was with you on the second one.
Yeah.
I was like you. We were on, we had Jupiter gravity holding us on the bed. That wasn't going anywhere.
It was a one-man luge.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I was just plastered in there. But on that first one, I sat up for a good chunk of it, and I kept getting really thirsty. And every time I put my hand out, the crew at Nouvelle Vie was amazing. I put my hand out, bam, water.
Yeah.
And I would chug a whole bottle of water. So I ended up with an empty water bottle in my hand. And it occurred to me, maybe I could do a little experiment with the water bottle. So I wanted to see if somehow my perception is real. Is there something connected to the physical universe here? Maybe I'm seeing a different wavelength or a different type of energy. Maybe I'm tuned into something. I don't know. I'm wide open to anything at this point.
Yeah.
That's what the medicine does, right?
Correct.
It opens you up. So I concocted this little experiment. And what I did was I threw the water bottle up in the air and I'd spin it. And I had the eye shades on. I couldn't see. I'd spin the bottle and it would land in front of me. And then I tried really hard to picture which way the top of the bottle was pointing.
Mm-hmm.
And I cleared my head. I ohmed a couple times and I was just going, okay, where's the bottle? Can I see the bottle? And every time I thought I saw the bottle, but I'd put my hand down there. There was no correlation that's just a couple data points, but as a scientific experiment, I think it showed that at least at that moment, while I was doing that test, I was not perceiving anything through my mask.
Okay.
Now we can talk about what's the difference between what happens outside and inside, and it's actually the same.
Yes.
So, there's a whole rabbit hole we can go down on.
Yes.
But that experiment, just if anyone's wondering, no, I did not instantly turn psychic because I ate some tree bark and was able to see the vibes of the water bottle molecules. Nothing like that. However, there was another part I left out that actually is gonna kind of blew my mind, and here it comes. I think it was right, but the eagle was the last part of my journey, and after that, I kind of was coming out of it a little bit, and I realized my back was starting to hurt, and I wanted to go to a bed. But before the eagle, the last thing that happened was I found myself standing in waist deep water. And it was similar to that pool I talked about that was kind of my gateway to the garden. But, we're very late in the thing here now. And the waist, it's about waist deep, very, very clear water. I can't recall if I was in a pool or anything, but I do remember that it was very, very clear, like impossibly clear water. And I started playing with the water with my fingers, like skimming my water over the hand, probably like you did it as a kid in the swimming pool or whatever. I was feeling the water, and it just the feel of the water was beautiful to me. I was going, this is great, and everything's beautiful.
Everything's beautiful stuff. Yeah.
But I'm feeling that. And so I started playing with the water. I started throwing it up in the air, and I could see these beautiful splashes of water and stuff. And for whatever reason, at some point I took my hands and I kind of cupped them together, and I lifted up an orb of water. Like it was like floating above my hands. It was a sphere, and I had control. I could hold this water. It was crazy. And then I started throwing it up in the air, and I started throwing it over my head. And I was probably laughing out loud. Like it was just, I was like a little kid. It was like just tremendous joy, tremendous joy. And I'm like, this is great. And I'm picking up, and I really felt like I was picking up globes of water. Right. I remember there's 3 of us on our mats here doing this thing. Simultaneously. So the guy next to me, I feel this smack on my arm. And so I pull my eye shades up and I look over at him, and he's got his eye shades up, and he says, "What were you just doing?" And I said, "Man, I was in this water, and I was like picking up these globes of water." And he takes his hands like he's throwing a basketball at me. And I'm like, "What are you doing, dude?" He's like, "I was doing the same thing." He's like, "I was just throwing water at you."
Are you kidding?
I'm like,
oh my God, man.
I swear to all that is holy that I'm not making this up. We just looked at each other and went, "What the?"
I did not know that part of the story. Oh my God, man.
Wow. That was nuts. And
okay.
there's a lot of places we can go with that, and people might think we're crazy. I'm fascinated by what happened, and I need to get under the hood and figure out what the science behind that is. And
to be continued.
That really happened?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. That was pretty nuts, but it happened, man. I right here. On
I got you. I believe you, man. Holy crap. All right. So that was Ibogaine 1, and that was Trevor and his team down at Neuro NV, and love those guys. They do some great work. You experience some great healing, man. So we're gonna go through Ibogaine 2, and then save the 5 MEOs for another episode, and then maybe even another one, because we have to talk about the integration, right? I want to dig into Ibogaine 2 because technically right now Slider should be debriefing his integration after Ibogaine 1, but let's get all the medicine on site out of the way and focus on integration, because that's its own. That's, you and I both laugh at stuff that we heard before the medicine that we know is fact now. Before I ate the medicine, they're like, when I did at the Mission Within, I looked at Cindy and Doc on my first grade A, like, I'm healed, everything's great, and they're like, okay, dude, 5% of this is here. 95% is the integration. So Slider and I are going to have to unpack his integration, because there's a lot to talk about in our integrations. But I want to stick with the medicine stuff, because let's get one thing out of the way. I saw my father and my sister. Slider saw everything he talked about. A journey is a journey because it's individual, right? Who was it? Michael Pollan, or one of the authors or whoever's like, I almost hesitate to brief you on my journey because it's not yours. It's not going to be yours. But I think the more a Slider, a me, a Pigpen, a Bart, a Sledge, a Stas can tell you about our individual journeys, it's going to lower your defenses or your barriers, because not once has any of these guys or gals that you're going to hear from Marcus and JT had some dark stuff, but it wasn't dark, right? They when they put light on something that was allegedly dark, and Slider's going to get into Ibogaine 2, not saying it's dark, but this, I'm just briefing you on where we're going so you're not confused. Let's go with Ibogaine 2. So Slider and I joined up with each other with 3 other clowns, and we went back down to touch the, don't cross the stream. So Slider, why don't you take us through Ibogaine 2? Like we briefed the first time, everybody knows the TAC admin and the admin. We did our fire ceremony. Take us after our fire ceremony. Who passed away during our fire ceremony? Thich Nhat Hanh, which just fucking blows me away. So Thich Nhat Hanh passes away as Slider and I do our fire ceremony. So take us upstairs, Slider.
Okay, there we are. Yeah, there's lots of great revelations and integration stuff. But yeah, let's talk about the tree again. So, like you said, the 2 experiences were very different. That first one was Disney World. It was beautiful and healing and peaceful, and it was what I needed at the time. And the second time I went back, it was about 6 or 7 months after the first time. Mm-hmm. I was already in on the No Fallen Heroes documentary, and I got to admit, I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but there was a part of me going, man, I came so far in such a short time, and my integration was going great. And there was a part of me that said, do I really need to do this again? Am I just doing this for the movie, which isn't wrong, because it's important that people understand what's available to them here. But there's a little part of me that believed that after this, you will know. Yeah, it's a good thing I went.
You needed it, correct? Okay. Well, so again, folks, listen to us. The medicine calls to you. So the fact that you actually went through a little bit of a back and forth, and you ended up where you ended up, was clearly it was the right answer. So that's a great, because I did the same thing, bro, but I was a little further out than you, and I had the shit again. But this time, after you do the medicine, folks, you can recognize when your aircraft is getting slower and slower and slower, and you're getting more and more shit back on you. Old Slider and I would have fucking departed the airplane and flown into the earth. New Slider and I are like, you know what? We might have to go back and touch the sun. it might be time to fucking go back for a little tune-up. So let's go through your tune-up.
Yeah, there you go. That's a factor. You're spot on all of that. So, I talked about how at Nouvelle Vie, they administered the Ibogaine in 4 doses. At the Mission Within, they give it to you in one big hammer. Now, I don't know if the difference in my 2 experiences has anything to do with the way the medicine was administered. I kind of suspect that maybe it doesn't.
Well, this sounds like take this as a little action item, Slider. That sounds like a you project. This sounds like a Six Sigma. Well, if I change this dial and this, you need to dig into that, man. I'm a political science major, so you take that for action.
Yeah, we got to isolate some variables here and
Exactly.
do some normalization and all that.
Yeah.
I love, man, the rest of my life is going to be trying to figure out all this stuff. But yeah, so this time it hit me like a hammer. Like I said, it was a sledgehammer. And so, it started coming on. I got the bees just like the first time and all that. But, the last time was a gentle breeze. This one was a freight train that just clobbered me. I mean, there was no sitting up.
Yeah.
As it started coming on, just like the first time, I had a moment where I was going, oh, man, I hope this isn't too much. And, within minutes, it
was
too
late.
Oh, my God, what have I done to myself? I was shitting in my pants, Whiz. I'm sure I was just a guy laying there not moving, and there was no moving this time.
Yep.
I mean, none. I was plastered to that mattress. But when it came on, it was so powerful. And, from moment to moment, I kept thinking, okay, this is it. I'm at the peak of this. And it just kept coming, dude. It kept coming to the point where I was disembodied, floating in space, I had to let go.
Yeah.
Kind of. Because here's what happened. We're not going to have a eagle soaring down the mountain story this time. It's going to be this experience was kind of heavy and beautiful too, but it was the same thing repeated over and over and over again for 14 hours. So here it is. When I got all the way in there, I remember thinking, man, I want to see that pool. I want to go to the garden. I wasn't feeling good, man. I was feeling a lot of darkness. I was feeling negative energy. I was feeling like, oh man, what is coming here? And I kind of wanted to see that pool. And it's funny because I saw the pool for about a quarter of a second. And then it just like wiped itself out. Yeah. There will be no pool for you today.
We gave you that already.
It was not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had that. Yeah, wait for it. So what I experienced was fear for a while. I felt fear, and my visuals were not like the first one. They weren't as ultra high. At least most of it wasn't as ultra high def. It was almost more of a feeling. I definitely was having visuals, but I can't describe in detail what I was seeing.
Yep.
The best I can do is to say that I felt darkness, maybe evil, something bad. And it was coming in from the right and from the left. And my effort, I was putting all my effort into having a little bit of light in the middle for myself, because I very much had this sense that if I let go too much, I was going to go to a very dark place.
Wow.
And I was in for a long, long night.
Oof.
And I'm going, dude, don't let it get the best of you. Don't let the negative energy take you. Find the light. And again, your sense of time is just not there.
Correct.
You're doing these things, but I'd have to guess half an hour. I don't know how valid that is, but it was a while where I just laid there and in my mind struggled against the darkness. You're not going to get me. You're not going to get me. You're not going to get me. And what happened was I became very fatigued.
Okay.
I got tired. I started to I had the beginnings of losing hope and giving up. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. So when I was completely exhausted and I felt like there was nothing else, I found some religion in that foxhole, man, because I was desperate and I was scared.
Yeah.
And with the utmost sincerity, with earnestness, with an open heart, I meant it when I said, God, please come and save me from this darkness.
Oh my God. Wow. On your knees type of thing.
Physically, I was on my back, but yeah, bro, I was on my knees.
Mm-hmm.
I was on my knees. I was desperate. I was just scared of the darkness, and I didn't want it to consume me. And I begged God to come help me. And holy shit, here's what happened. So this beautiful, the moment I asked, and again, I think it's key that it was very sincere when I did it. I just said, God, please, if you're there, help me. And, in the first journey, I came home and I went, there is a God. God is eternal. We are part of God. God created all of this. God is our salvation. All that. Yeah. I got that. And I wasn't a religious guy. I got it. 6-7 months later, apparently I didn't get it enough because,
exactly.
I asked God to help me.
Yeah.
And whoop, this beautiful eye appeared above me and in the center of my field of view. It just it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was perfect. This was ultra high def. Beautiful eye. And I was looking at the eye and the eye was looking at me and we were seeing each other. There is no doubt in my mind. I mean, it was right in my face and we're going,
wow.
Hey,
what's up?
What's up? Right? And I'm talking to God here and I'm like,
wow.
But here's what happened. I mean, within moments of that, I'm looking at this eye, the eye's looking at me, and I saw what I called at the time, 1,000 fireflies. They were little points of light, red fireflies. They weren't blinking, but they were like little points of light. Thousands of them appeared around the eye and swirled down like a big tornado or a helix or something. These red lights just came down, it briefly enveloped me and parted the darkness.
Oh my God.
Absolutely parted the darkness. So that light, that sliver of light I was hanging on to right in front of me, just it got brighter, it expanded, and it shoved the darkness out to the sides.
Wow. What did that feel like?
Good question. I felt peace and love, and I felt the knowledge that God is always there and has got me. I'm the only thing in the way of that. I just have to accept it, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Now, Slider's he's a little thick.
No.
He's got a
No.
little bit of a blunt skull.
No.
The too much concrete in this area here. Apparently, I didn't know that until the next 13 and a half hours of this 14 hours. But this happened over and over and over for 14 hours. I couldn't even begin to count how many times it happened.
Wow.
But I would feel this peace, this safety, this guiding hand. Those had to be angels. I mean, I don't know what else.
Souls or angels or God energy.
I don't know, but God was sending an army to help me. Is what it felt like. It was an army of love and light and peace and all this stuff. And I felt good, and it was good. And I would relax. And I would coast for a little bit, and I felt good, and I was happy. And during those intermissions when the darkness wasn't really crushing me, I did have some weird random things I saw. It doesn't even make sense to me. Like I was seeing a ceiling fan that was made out of marble, right? And I've got the eye shades on. I mean, there's no light coming in. I see this. Who would make a ceiling fan out of marble? That's ridiculous. But the ceiling fan, it kept like expanding down from the ceiling and spinning itself like you ever see a bartender take a stack of cocktail napkins? Wiz is going, yeah, I've seen that.
Duh.
And they spin the shaker on it, right? And it kind of fans them out. So this fan kept like coming down from the ceiling, and it would fan itself out like cocktail napkins, Why was I seeing that? I have no idea. It's completely random. It happened over and over again. No idea. Nothing
yet
meaningful.
We'll figure that out. There might be something there,
man. I got no meaning out of that, and it kept happening. But the point of telling that is the meaning. What I at least net right now, see to be the meaningful part of it, just happened over and over again. So I'd see a few things. It was cool. I got to relax, catch my breath, and then the darkness would creep in. Yeah. And I would fight, and I would fight, and I would fight, and I got desperate again. And I asked God to come help me, and the eye appeared, and the angels came and shoved the darkness away and gave me peace.
So I've experienced this. Sliders now experience this. Others who do the medicine. Susie said this. If you don't get something on the medicine, it shows you again and again and again until you get it. This is a common theme of everybody I've talked to. Not one person who's experienced. Well, maybe people have gotten it the first time. Slider and I are just idiots. But when you don't get something, the medicine shows you until it clicks, which is it's an incredible common theme throughout all of these debriefs. That's just incredible.
Yeah. And I've talked to a bunch of guys that, same thing. You're absolutely right. This is very common in these experiences. And so this happened over and over again. And I'll throw in a detail here. Remember, those lights were red when they came to the angels, when the fireflies, whatever they were red. Later in my journey, and probably hour, 10, 11, 12, something like that, the color of those lights changed to green. They went through some intermediate hues, but they ended up mostly green, is what I remember, which will come into play later. But that was it. It was 14 hours of Slider's ass is kicked. He's about to fail. He asks God for help, and God's like, I got you, man. I got you. I got you. By the end of it, I was going, wait a minute.
By the end of it, it was
I'm supposed to know this. I'm supposed to know that God has me.
Yeah.
I am such a meathead that I had to have 14 hours of getting hammered by the darkness before I found faith right there laying on that bed, man. And it has not waned for a second.
Oh my God, then. Man.
I know that God has me.
So you needed that,
and he's got everybody listening to this too.
You needed that beating, dude. If you're sitting here going, "Wow, that sounded negative," nuh-uh. It has a happy ending. You eventually got the point.
Yeah, there was the way it was presented to me. There was no denying it. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
God grabbed me and went, dude, freaking get it already, will ya?
Yeah. And that's awesome, man.
Apparently that's what
it's interesting, folks, because Slider and I, so my guide, Cindy, after my second ibogaine journey, hopefully you've listened to that already, but I had a Slider, man. Slider and I, but she briefed me on this after. And she's like, I probably should have briefed you on this before, but I didn't. But here it is. I'm like, thanks. She said anybody in her experience that has stepped into the medicine again, whose purpose not only was to heal, but you healed on your first one. She said anybody who steps into medicine again usually gets to see everything. If you're going to be an instructor, she said, the medicine's going to show you ain't going to get another magic carpet ride again. You're going to, because you can't relate to people. If you're going to go put the ladder down to explain the medicine, it would really suck if you're sitting there trying, somebody has an experience not like yours. You're going to be like, well, mine was freaking awesome. So Slider and I got taken to the weapons school. We went to the plant medicine weapons school, and it was we got the patch, man, and it wasn't easy the second time. But it was funny that Cindy told me that afterwards. She's like, I probably should have briefed you beforehand. I'm like, you think? But no, I am as thankful. I am as thankful for my second journey as I was for the first, because I had a Slider experience. My darkness was, I got hit in the head a couple times with the brick. Like, I'm here, man, and I got you. I don't, here it is. I gave that to you. Your first journey was healing, but now it's the weapons school. Put the patch on your shoulder. You got this thing. So 14-hour ass kicking, but I want to get into, we'll get into 5-MeO next time, but on the The next night, I want you to talk through the witching hour, because it was like, I think Stas was doing his one man luge, and I think Sledge was, I don't know if Sledge was part of this, but I remember Bart, our giraffe, on roller skates. So you, Bart, and I, because I remember sitting up at like 3 a.m. They call it the witching hour for a reason. I just sat up. This was the night I was sitting in bed, and I had my Mary candle burning next to me, and I brought it close, and I was bummed because I did see my sister Monica again this time around, but it was kind of where are you? And she kind of appeared like, I haven't gone anywhere. I thought we taught you this the first time, and I felt a little shitty. I'm like, oh, well, that, she's like, I'm here, Matthew. I'm always here. I'm like, okay, good. And I didn't see my old man. And I sat up in bed at 3 a.m, man, in Mexico on this fucking bed with my Mary candle, and I'm trying to grab my journal, and Slider's not in his bed. I'm like, is he dead? Did he fucking evaporate? But during that, as I'm sitting there, I'm hoping Slider's okay. I swear, my dad hugged me. I physically felt a hug in that bed, and he said, "I'm proud of you." And I felt it sitting in that bed at 3 a.m, as if he literally had given me a hug. He did. He gave me a hug, and he said, "I'm proud of you." So I had that. And then all of a sudden, Mumbles McShitty Pants staggers into the room like, you wouldn't believe what happened in the kitchen. So, Slider, why don't you take us through what happened? This is the night. This is after our gray day. That night, Slider comes back from downstairs, man. What happened?
Yeah. Good setup. Yeah. So what was it? It was about 30. I just did the math while you were talking about it. It was about 31 hours after our initial, after our medicine ceremony. It was about 31 hours. So this was the next night, middle of the night, a long time after we took the medicine. Part of the benzodiazepine, the post-acute withdrawal, is something called benzo belly. So your gut is just a mess. Anyone who's struggled through getting off these benzos knows what I'm talking about, especially if you've been through a cold turkey withdrawal. It is brutal. It is probably the last thing that heals as you're going through all that. And so gut issues, for probably 3 or 4 years at that point, I mean, I had just had a lot of pain and discomfort and all kinds of weird stuff going on with my gut. And it just had become part of my life. And though I made valiant attempts to try all kinds of things to solve that, I never got there.
Yeah.
But it must have been a little before 3 a.m. I woke up and my gut was killing me. I'm laying on my back. We're in our, 5 guys in our beds in that big, beautiful room at the Mission Within. And I didn't take my eye shades off. I was just laying there in the blankets going, God, my gut hurts. I felt like I had a rock, right below my sternum that just hurt. And I was, feeling bloated, and, my gut was distended and all that. And for whatever reason at that moment, I wasn't tolerating that well. I was back to, why do I have to suffer so much? I'm just tired of the suffering with all this stuff I've been through, man. If you listen to the first, Slider episode 1, I mean, it's a lot, years and years and years of stuff. And I guess the experience the night before had trained me properly, because now I'm a Top Gun.
You got your patch, man. You are a weapons school,
man. So now I know what to do. I'm applying my lessons learned on the battlefield here, right? So the first thing I did, this is totally new for me, Whiz, man. This is just new for me.
Yep.
The first thing I did when I realized that I was suffering and it was beating me up a little bit, was I just opened my heart and I asked God for help again.
Oh, yeah.
It's the simplest thing, man.
Duh.
I mean, I went to school the night before. Don't forget the next day, right? So I go, God, Please help me with it. I'm so tired of not feeling good.
Yeah.
The eye appeared again, right above me, the same beautiful eye. And this time the lights were white. The angels came down. This helix came down from the light. This time it swirled around me and enveloped my body.
Wow.
Didn't do that the previous time. I felt like I was completely enveloped in these white lights, these angels, fireflies, energy. My body felt like it expanded beyond itself to maybe 50% larger than I really am. And I had this sensation like there was like fuzz, like a energy, kind of like electricity, like a warm static was crawling on my skin. And I blew up. And for whatever reason, I felt compelled to put the backs of my fingertips together and dig those fingertips into my gut deep below my sternum. I went right after that part that hurt. And I've never done this to myself. I mean, I've kind of rubbed around and tried to figure out what's going on in there once in a while, but this was different. I went in there hard. I mean, I got in there and I massaged my own gut deep in there. And within minutes, I had total relief.
Oh my God, man.
The distension went away. That rock I was feeling went away. The pain went away. I felt great.
Wow.
So, I ask God to heal my body, my physical body. This isn't my thoughts, my mind,
your
my soul. This is my body.
Yeah.
This is this thing I'm walking around in. And I got it.
Jesus God.
I got it. And so when I started to process that, and I went, this is literally a miracle.
Yeah.
Literally, I just experienced a miracle. So, right away, I'm like, I got to tell these guys about it. So I sit up.
Yeah.
I flip my eye shades up, and you guys are all out. And I'm going, oh man, I'm so excited. I want to do something. And I'm just like, what do I do? What do I do? And I thought about waking one of you guys up, and I'm like, who knows what journey
they're doing
right now. I don't want to interrupt that.
Exactly.
So I grabbed my journal, and I'll be honest, man, I'm not a big journaling guy.
Me neither at the time.
I'm fighting my way uphill on that one. It's not easy for me to get into that.
Sure.
And I look back at my life, especially all the, the combat, all the history that was made while I happened to be there. I should have journaled that stuff, but at this point I'm very open to it. So I grab my journal and I'm like, I got to run downstairs and write this down while it's fresh.
Good. Yep.
Right. So I grab my journal and I walk downstairs to the kitchen/dining area. Nobody's down there.
Yeah.
Punky's all the way down on the bottom floor, crashed out, and who knows where everybody else was. So I got that whole floor of the house to myself, and I walk in there and all the lights are on. It's perfectly daytime lit up in there.
Yeah.
And I go strolling into the kitchen with my pen in one hand and my journal in the other. And as I'm getting to kind of the middle of the space in the kitchen, my eyes are open, Whiz. Wide open. I'm wide awake. My eyes are open. The lights are on. The eye of God appears in front of me again, right there in the middle of the kitchen.
In the kitchen, yeah.
And the white lights come down from this eye and start swirling around again. And this time they made a big cylinder around my whole body and just hung out for maybe 20, 30 seconds. And just spun around. Remember the spin and puke in Pennsylvania?
I did in Pensacola. Yeah.
Going through
API.
Aviation.
A pre-flight indog. Yeah.
That's what I couldn't remember what it even stood for. But yeah, they put you in that thing and you spun around. It was like that, except I wasn't dizzy. But it was, you remember all those lights going around and all that stuff to see if they could disorient. Yeah, it wasn't disorienting at all this time. It was peaceful, but you know, Wiz, I think this was chapter 47 of God going, do you get it yet? Do you get it yet?
Now, do you get it?
Yet?
You're awake and in the kitchen. Here's the angels again, dude. Do they need little hammers to hit you with?
Oh yeah. I definitely took a ball peen hammer to the forehead on like, yeah, I got it. It's right here. I got it. Yeah. So all this stuff happens, dude. I was almost in tears with joy.
I know.
It was one of the most moving things that's ever happened.
So folks, this is literally, because this is what happened. I sat up in my bed and Slider wasn't there. I'm like, oh shit, I hope he's okay. And that's when I had my dad moment. And I think Bart, our giraffe, kind of was sitting up and he told me about his son's basketball game, right? About how his son was at a basketball game. He was sending him love, and he's like, you know, he saw the score on the scoreboard. Guess what happened when he talked to his son on Monday when he got back from Mexico? That was the score of the game. I mean, so this shit's happening. Bart and I are having a moment. Slider walks in the room. I've never seen, I mean, Slider from the Fleet, Slider even after the first medicine. When you walked into that room, dude, I'm like, what the fuck? First of all, it looks like you floated in the room. You looked, this will sound completely creepy. You looked angelic, dude. You had the Cheshire cat grin on your face, ear to ear, and you were like white. And Bart and I are like, hey, Slider. And you just came to us, and that's when you kind of told us what had happened down in the kitchen with and I'm like, oh my God, this is insanity, what's going on here. But dude, you looked like a different human being, man. You yourself looked angelic. I have no problems. I'm confident in my sexuality and manhood. You looked angelic, dude. You looked holy and completely at peace. It was incredible. It was great to see you like that. And then you proceeded to tell us the story. I'm like, what the fuck? That was awesome, man. So was that
we sat there and told the story.
Yeah. We each one of us, me, Bart, and Slider. I think Stas and Sledge kind of rolled over and eventually pitched in a little bit. But that was that witching hour. I'll remember that forever. My dad's hug, and then you coming in the room looking like. And this is so interesting, folks, because I'll tell you, you know my 5-MeO story. We'll get into Sliders next time. But whether it was my tinnitus, my fucking backache, all sorts of physical ailments, when I was, whatever word you want to use, source, truth, divine, God, when I was in the presence of that thing, everything was healed. Everything was fine. My physical ailments were fine. And not a big Bible guy or any of that stuff, but whether it was Jesus, healing, touching the blind lady's eyes, and she could see, or just, I can tell you when I was in the presence of spirit or whatever word you want to use, man, I was absolutely healed. So the fact that your gut thing was gone is just, it's incredible. It's just that story. It's not a story. Your experience blew me away, not a story, because when I saw you walk in the room, dude, you were floating.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And, I just unloaded a whole bunch of great stuff there, but here's the best part. The best part is what I wrote in my journal.
Oh,
because before I came up, I sat at that table by myself, madly scribbling. And I wrote, I bet 5 or 6 pages of stuff in the journal. I just described everything that I told you.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was writing, my hand took on a life of its own. And one of the last things, not one of the last thing, but I got to a point in telling that story, I had an epiphany, and it's almost like my hand just wrote it without me fully forming the thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote it in giant block letters across the middle of the page. My suffering was a gift.
Oh my God. Wow.
I mean, think about, I spent years and years and years so miserable with that Ativan, with the effects of the benzodiazepines crawling out of my skin, anxiety. I mean, just no hope. Just everything I went through, it was just awful. And I got to a point where I was just going, why do I have to suffer so much? And it was woe is me. And I was angry and at the world. And, it was just a very, very
my God,
years.
why have you forsaken me? Jesus himself cried out to his Father and said, dude, what the fuck? My God, why have you forgotten me? And Slider today says, I am thankful for my suffering. What was it again? My suffering was a gift? Jesus.
My suffering was a gift is what I wrote. My suffering was a gift. And what I wrote after that, I will summarize that briefly for you. This was another one of those, just like my first journey. I talked about how the truth of all things was revealed to me in a flash. This was a kind of a mini one of those, but I think it might even be more meaningful because I wrote my suffering is a gift. Well, how is my suffering a gift? Here it is. This was shown to me as just with such simplicity and such clarity and such authority that I had to accept this as true, which is, this path that each of us walks is the path that we need to walk. It's very individual. You go through what you need to go through for your spiritual growth, for your journey towards enlightenment, which is it eternal? Maybe. I don't know. We're trying to figure all that out. We'll know when we're dead, right? But it's very clear to me that whatever I went through for all those years, and there's a lot of stuff, and there's some stuff going all the way back to my childhood where I was kind of set up for this stuff, some behaviors, some attitudes, some things. When we talk about the gray day revelations and stuff, we can get into that, but it's a lot of stuff. And it just became apparent to me that everybody has to walk the path that they have to walk because God, to use a Whizism, God doesn't make fucked up shit. It's perfect.
You are absolutely
perfect. And we might hate it. Yeah. We might perfectly imperfect. We might hate it. We might wail and gnash. We might fight against it with every fiber of our being, but accept your path. Know that God is right there with you and will get you through it. You have what you need to get through it. Please don't give up, bro.
That's exactly right.
Don't give up. If you're listening to this and you are in a dark place and you think the best thing to do about it is to take your own life, please reach out to reach out to us. Anybody, find somebody. Don't give up. God didn't put you here to end it. God put you here to find a way to tough it out. And I don't like that I just said tough it out as soon as I said that. Because it's not about being tough. It's about opening your heart to God's love and accepting the healing, the everything. It's there for you, man. It's there for all of us. You've got to have the courage to go all in with your faith.
If listening to Slider, listening to Whiz or a Pigpen or a Stas, anytime we have put some light on what our darkness was, man, the light always wins. Once you shine, once you lean into the actual darkness, once you lean into it, I just can't find a better word, that the light always wins, man. And trust me, I can speak for Slider right now because he and I, years ago in the fleet, if we could have fast forwarded to watching this right now, we'd beat the shit out of both of each other and take our lunch money. Those dudes died on the floor of homes in Mexico, man. Those guys are dead and buried, and I am flying formation with Slider. I am thankful for my suffering. I am grateful because it put Slider and I sitting here on a podcast today, man. And on our knees, why have you forsaken me, God? She didn't forsake us. It's always there. It is always there. We're the ones that have kind of suffered. So That's just absolutely incredible. And I think Nicole didn't, she tie it to some chakras too. Cause didn't you had like red, it was like white, red and green. So Nicole, our medicine woman, was like, that's actually the colors of chakras, right? The different energy centers in the body or something. I'm like, holy crap. Slider and I don't even know how to spell the word chakra or chakra. I don't even think I'm saying it right.
Is there an H in there?
Yeah, exactly. Can I buy a vowel?
Actually, it was Cynthia, but Nicole was on it. So when we sat around our circle the next day, and I was telling this story to the whole group, Cynthia was across the circle from me, and as I'm telling everyone this story, she's smiling.
Oh, smiling, yeah.
I mean, she's just beaming at me, beaming at me.
She knew it,
and I'm like, okay. Cynthia has something to say here. So I get done and I look at her. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And she goes,
yep.
You manifested your chakras. Now, I had heard the word chakra before.
Yes.
I thought it was some fruity new age hippie bullshit.
Correct.
I was that much of a blockhead, man. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, Cynthia. And she whips out, I don't even know what you call that thing, the poster of the
chakras.
I don't know what is it?
Yeah.
The chakra poster, sitting cross-legged with all the, the 7 chakras, and the bottom one's red, and it's Roy
white,
G. Biv
green,
all that stuff. And Cynthia goes, what you did was you started with your root chakra and you manifested each one as you progressed through your ibogaine
to the white
journey. And that was a great Slider moment, because I looked at her and I went, man, I thought all that was bullshit.
Oh my God.
And now
no
I'm
offense.
Fiend, and I totally get it. No, I totally, it's, I'll let everyone in on a secret. If you think it's bullshit, it's not.
I lived it.
It's not.
I saw Slider live it, man. He came in the room with a shit-eating grin on his face, like you wouldn't believe it was just happened. So, man, dude, that was epic. We're gonna have to press here, but man, you got to tune in, because he's just getting warmed up. We're at the 50-yard line, so there's 2 ibogaine journeys out of Slider. We got 2 5-MeO experiences, which are going to blow you away. If you're blown away by this stuff, man, tune in for the next 2 episodes, or fill in the blank how many, because you're just gonna, it's incredible. He similar experience to mine, but it's his, like Slider was just talking about. These are all journeys. Everybody's on we can be all in the same fleet or the same battle group, but you are on your own ship, man. We can all be heading in the same direction, but man, what happens on those individual ships are incredible. I got a physical hug from my father, who said he was proud of me. And then Slider, man, down in the kitchen, God hit him one more time with, I got you. And Slider writing down that he's thankful for his suffering, man. It was a gift. It's just so incredibly powerful, man, to see. And I love how you said you almost didn't write that. That was written, that there was somebody guiding your hand to write that, to remind you of that. And that's so powerful. So I love you, brother. So thanks for this, man. We're going to come back next week. I don't think I'm back next week, man. I think I'm actually out in Fighter Town, man. I'm taking a jet out to Miramar, hanging out with Bing and the veterans. Bing, as obviously Slider. He's good buddies with Bing Crosby. Veterans Prostate Cancer Foundation. I'm bringing the jet out there. We're going to have a chalet at the Miramar Air Show. So you're going to have to tune in the week after that to hear some more of Slider's experience. So, folks, if you're interested in this, or Slider was just telling you to get some help, you can always dial 988. If you dial 988 and press number 1, man, you can get your some help, man. It's like 911, but 988 is that suicide crisis hotline. I think if you push number 1, it's for veterans. Or you call Slider or I, man. Slider at nofallenheroes.com. Whiz, W-H-I-Z, at nofallenheroes.com. Reach out to us, folks. Healing is possible, and there is a way out. If 2 knuckle-dragging morons like Slider and I can find healing, maybe you all can too. So have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. God bless. Fights on, and namaste.